Ladies, gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Tip of the Spear Real Estate Team podcast. To my left, we have Brian Big Dog Britton.
Whoa, Big Dog.
Whoa, Big Dog. That's an impromptu nickname, just came up with it.
I'll take it. I'll take it. All right.
And on my right, we have Jake
The Snake.
Smoke. I like it. Jake the Snake Smoke.
I can't do Jake the Snake. That's old school.
Yeah, it's already a guy.
But
we need
Probably get in trouble with that one.
Jake the something else? The Lizard?
Come on,
No.
Smoke. Got to
Smoke
throw that
doesn't
in there
need-
somewhere.
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
doesn't need a
It
nickname.
doesn't
He's
need
just-
anything else.
You really don't
That's
need
it.
a nickname. You kind of already got a pretty badass name.
Instead of like Prince, there's a symbol. It's just
Like a poop
Yep.
of smoke.
smoke.
Dude, we got to change all your...
Send a smoke signal.
There you go. Change all your real estate signs.
Yeah.
We'll just put a burning tire next to all your listings so it just continually smokes.
Oh,
Right. Yeah.
that's how we get people coming by those open houses.
Fucking A. You want to get like...
Put out some flares and follow it, right?
If you're ever trying to like market towards firefighters, that'd be a really good way to do it.
Man,
Oh, it's nice.
Hey,
I
thanks
like
for
it.
putting this tire out. You want to buy this house? By the way, it's for sale.
should I go stand out there and stand in front of a burn pit?
Just continually stir and
no.
friggin' bone pile it and keep it going.
You didn't catch what I was talking about. Burn pits overseas.
Yeah. Gross.
And missing along, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No big deal. It's fine. It's fine.
Right.
Hey, I've
Anyways,
heard there's a registry now for that, isn't there?
Yeah.
You guys sign up for that?
No.
I got the snail mail about it.
Uh.
I don't think I have because I'm a little weary with the VA and
Actually,
You and literally everybody
yeah.
else.
So I
Actually-
just I've held on to it, but I haven't done it yet.
I think I have, but
Yeah.
you know the VA and all that jazz. There's tons of hoops to jump
Right.
through and red tape.
And you don't know who's actually looking at it.
Or why,
You know
or
what I
what
mean?
they're using it for.
Yeah. Well, I went into the VA and was getting my lab work done, and like, oh, we're gonna take 10 more vials of blood from you. I'm like, what? Whoa, hold on.
Yeah, for
They're
what?
like, oh yeah, we're doing this research, yada yada yada. I'm like, whoa, hang on, time out.
Yeah.
There was
I
a
need to understand what's going on here.
There was a
Right.
big thing about that they were, I think it was maybe a year ago or something like that, maybe within the last year, that it came out that the VA was like taking samples of like people's liver and stuff or kidneys or something like that, and were like just doing testing on people's internal organs without even asking them, basically. It's pretty crazy, right?
Wow, like a modern day Tuskegee study.
Yeah, but it's okay. It's the government. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Well, it's in the fine print, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's not good.
Well, I think that I think that's a lot of why I've heard a lot of veterans that don't want to get their medical marijuana card because of that. They don't want to be or talk to the VA about it because they don't want to be databased. And there's always the rumor that the VA is gonna like confiscate your weapons or some shit like that. You know what I mean? Have
Right.
you heard about that stuff?
Yeah, if you get, if you're on the PTSD, list, there's
Right. Well,
that can
it's-
be sent to law enforcement
Yeah.
and
Maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows if it's true? I feel like that's kind of a breach of like some sort of confidentiality with your doctor or something like that. But I mean, it's the government, so who knows if we can actually trust them or not?
Right.
Anyway.
And I mean, and that's all it takes is an inquiry from somebody super high up to get a list of names of people who,
Yeah.
have this issue. Next thing you know, they might come knocking on your door. You don't know.
Next
right?
thing you know, they're taking your freedoms.
I mean, it's just like in California they have that neighborhood law. If you know that, or if you think that your neighbor is a danger to society or whatever, they can call or send a letter, and then they'll come and
Yeah. I
and
mean,
if your neighbor knows you have PTSD and then they're worried about you or whatever, you never know what you're
All the more reason not to be friends with people.
Wow, he just went dark.
Yeah,
well,
what are we talking about? Are we talking about real estate stuff, or are we talking
Or
about
we-
like government conspiracies?
we probably shouldn't go down that rabbit hole. But
You never know who's listening, right?
weren't we going to talk about, homelessness, veterans? Was it something kind of along those lines of how real estate can, kind of help and that creates that stability for folks out there?
Yeah, I
know
think
that's-
Absolutely.
I think that one thing, and speaking on that exactly, that I think the idea was just to talk about, freaking how home ownership and stuff like that can actually help people out with, with their depression or with, homeowner or homelessness, obviously, and, all that stuff. We kind of made the joke that when you're a homeowner, you're too busy to be depressed and suicidal because you're always fixing stuff at your house, you know what I mean? But, I mean, honestly, having the sense of home and stuff like that, I think is helpful for folks. So, on another note, I had a past client that was living at him and his family were living at like a home for veterans type thing.
Okay.
And he was rated out 100% disabled. Well, guess what? The VA or the lenders look at that, and the VA looks at that disability rating. They count it towards your debt to income ratio, and they count it substantially higher than, regular income because it's not taxed. So that one client of mine was able to actually buy himself a condo for him and his family to live in right here in town, right in Santee, just based off of his disability pay. So it kind of worked out pretty well, and that's something I don't know that a lot of people know, that they can actually use that towards their ability to buy a home. So
right, and well, on that note, lenders know that that's a solid, that's something that's likely not to go away in that veteran's lifetime. It's a solid income that's coming in, and there's nothing better to help kind of utilize that amount of money towards a home, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
It helps the veteran and their family get into a home and have a life and have that quote unquote American dream, right? Because here in Southern California, it's really expensive to live. I think we all know this, right?
Yeah.
Most don't own a home. Most are renting month to month and doing that daily grind. And once you have your own home, you could enjoy your weekends and time off by fixing your home, which is a good thing.
Sorry, I don't have time to be depressed today. I got to install rain gutters in my house.
Or like you had mentioned, you got to put
4
up
days
Christmas
after the
lights.
thunderstorm.
Yeah,
right.
Right, yeah.
And the ornaments and the tree.
Just stoked to find out after like a big rainstorm they get a roof leak or something like that. You're like, yeah. Anyway, fun.
But on that note, if someone were to reach out to us, we're always going to have those referrals or people to reach out to when things do break, because that's how life is, right?
Yeah, of course.
Things happen.
Yeah.
Well, and I think a lot of what we were just talking about and a lot of what some people need in their lives is that stability, right?
Right.
The ability to have an actual home base and not have to worry about, is my landlord going to kick me out next month, or, where am I going to be living in a year, or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? So I think it's beneficial. I can see this little weird spin on helping vets by, them owning a house, I guess, or something.
And not just vets. Let's talk about the active duty a little bit.
Sure.
So I don't know what it is now. You probably do. But a couple of years ago when I was getting the BAH, like E5 BAH was like $2,600. Do you know what it is now?
Depends if you're with or without dependents. But it also changes every year. So a lot of it depends on the county, and it depends on what year it is, obviously. So here in San Diego for 2020, I haven't seen the numbers for what BAH is going to be next year, but whatever your pay grade is, and then also whether or not you have dependents is going to dictate a lot of that. So I mean, but right now in San Diego, this being this year, an E5 with dependents makes plenty of money to be able to buy a decent sized house and just use their BAH only to actually be able to pay their entire mortgage off. So.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. Instead of living in one of the housing places and you're spending your entire BAH, you can use that for a house.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if you're living on base, you don't even see that money.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Lincoln just takes it. That's just theirs.
Yeah, you don't even see it. So it's not like you don't even have it, basically. And on that note, you're making, the government gives it to you, they take it back, they provide you with a place to live on base. You're not growing your wealth.
Right.
You're not growing your stability in that sense.
You're growing the property management company's wealth.
At any minute, with some notice, the military or the contracting company that runs it's a corporation, right, that manages homes on the military installations. They can come in and be like, hey, you got 60 days. We got to fix this. We got to do that. You never know.
Yeah.
And how many stories do we hear coming out of, especially Lincoln out here, just horror stories of people having mold in their ducts or this or that problem that, and I'm sure I'm probably going to get a cease and desist letter or something like that for dropping that name, but it is what it is, man.
No, you're completely correct. I mean, we put a post out there on our social media site recently about long-term mold issues, I think in North Carolina or one of the states on the eastern side of the continent, just having all kinds of issues and creating significant health concerns for our military and veterans.
There was one right here in Point Loma, one of the military housing places too recently, that same problem. They had that kind of thing. So, yeah. But I think the big idea, especially for folks that rate BAH, is no matter where you're living, you're paying mortgage, right? Whether it's your mortgage or it's somebody else's mortgage is the big question. So for folks that are living on base housing or on off-base housing, all of that money is going to a property management company that's contracted through the government. So now they're taking this benefit that you have, this tax-free lump of money that the government's just like, here, go buy yourself something shiny, right? Like a house or a condo or something, and you're just giving it to somebody else for what? That doesn't make sense to me.
Well, the question that you can. It's definitely forward thinking and being upfront is, hey, do you enjoy making your landlord or paying back the military? Do you enjoy making them wealthy in that sense?
Right.
You're not doing yourselves any favors other than having a roof over your heads. Yeah. But there's more to owning a home than just having a roof over your heads. Yeah. There's putting back into your own home, doing those things on the weekend that you feel like you should do to make it a better place for you and your family. And all in all, you are likely gaining the equity in that home. Here in Southern California, if you own a home longer than 3 to 5 years, you are, in this market, you're going to be coming out of it in a positive.
And that, And how long do people usually, do PCS orders usually last, or how long do people stay at one duty station? Usually about that amount of time, so PCS in, PCS out. Even if you don't have, even if you live in a place for a couple years, no matter where you are, and, you don't have enough equity to sell your house for a decent profit, or let's say you do, but you want to hang on to it anyway because you can rent it for even more money.
Yep.
Even if you PCS out, you can manage it yourself. You can pay a property management company to do it. You know what I mean? And here in San Diego County, there's such a rental housing market crisis that it's not a bad deal to be a landlord here. You know what I mean? It's not a bad deal to have rental income here just because of the fact that for sure somebody's going to be living in there no matter what,
Yeah.
So we have our rental property in Santee. The second that thing's available, we get like 50 applications, man. It's crazy. It's just a regular condo, nothing crazy. So that's just stuff to think about. I mean, I guess everybody that comes to California that I've ever talked to that says they don't want to buy here, and I ask them why. Well, we're not going to plan on staying here for very long. That's cool. You don't have to, but at least invest in your own future,
Absolutely. That's huge right there. Invest in your own future.
Or keep on lining Lincoln's pockets,
Well, and then, it also goes to the kids. It gives the kids a sense of belonging. And
yeah, completely. And I mean, it might not cross their mind, up front, but it's just kind of deep down them knowing that that their parents own this home. They're not going anywhere.
Right.
I've had that previously when I was in a rental, my kids are like, Dad, are we going to be here for a while? I was like, well, the plan is to purchase again, own another home that's ours, and not have to worry about the unknown of how much longer we're going to be here, or if we're going to get forced out by a landlord, or whatever drama is going on through that person's life that can cause all kinds of unknowns.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
So homeownership, huh? So it's like kind of a cool thing or something?
Yeah,
I think it's
very
pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's why we're all in this field, right?
You know what? So my story, and this isn't going to be everybody's situation, of course. So we happened to buy at the right time, but we bought in a neighborhood where the basically the micro market that just our direct neighborhood was exploding. Right, we bought in 2015 when the market was blowing up here in San Diego County already anyway. So we were experiencing like 8 to 10% year over year market growth already, which is it's fast. It's really freaking high, and it's unsustainable. Obviously, that wasn't going to last forever, but we bought right in the middle of that. You know, we lived there for 3 years, and we came out of it with $140,000 in equity. Just for living somewhere for 3 years.
Yep.
So that wasn't that house, because of the fact that where we were was booming even faster. We were at like, I want to say 18, 19% year over year market growth, something like that, for the 3 years we were living there, which is freaking insane and not real life. Like that doesn't last very long, you know, but we bought our house, you know, at the beginning of 2015. We sold at the beginning of 2018 and, you know, moved to our new place, took that big old fat chunk of change that we had, put a huge down payment on our new house, and bought a new kitchen and a whole big old giant like awning in our backyard, and now we have a pool, and it's awesome because we're in it all the time, and yeah, it's cool, man.
Right, and where else can you get that type of return?
San Diego,
You know,
Hawaii, maybe.
No, not even not location, but in what other area of life can you get that type of return?
Like what kind of things can you invest in,
You know
kind
what
of
I mean?
thing? Sure.
Yeah, I'm sure if you've got tons of money lying in your pockets and you're able to put in a lot of money, sure.
Right.
But most people don't have a lot, you know, don't have 100,000 sitting around.
Even with that, I mean, I know from some other experiences, I know someone that has $1 million to invest.
Right.
And they were only seeing like 3% return on $1 million. I mean, that's a lot from $1 million, but you would think, hey, this person's got $1 million, they could find something that could get a higher return, but not nearly as high as real estate.
Well, and I mean, to be clear, that the market growth, I mean, we're in a shifting market now. So the growth that we have experienced since basically 2014, it's not the way it was back then anymore.
Right.
We've slowed down. We're still slowly gaining. In some places they're pretty sheared off, or maybe a little bit of a downward slope, but nothing crazy.
I mean, we're due for something.
Yeah.
You know, some form of a correction. We're not in a bubble. My opinion is we're not in a bubble, but we're due for something to happen here.
Well, if you look back at what the market was doing, like the 100-year average year-over-year market growth is like 4.5% or something like that, 4.5%. I don't have the numbers right in front of me right now, so if somebody wants to, you know, quote me or correct me.
Or chime in later.
Yeah, cool, thanks, bro. But, I mean, like I said, the average, 100-year average is like 4.5%, 5%, something like that, right? So if you look at the years prior to that, you know, to that big bubble, basically that's what we were getting. It was a nice, healthy market. Things were just trucking along the way they're supposed to be. Well, then the banks came out with all those predatory loans and with this artificial inflation and all this crazy growth, blah, blah, blah. People started buying up all these houses, and the banks were lending to folks that had no business taking on that kind of debt because they couldn't afford it. Right. And of course that, and a few other incendiary factors, and the next thing you know, the market plummets. Well, if you take that, so that whole bubble and subsequent crash was a total market anomaly. That's not something that happens ever, right? Well, not ever, but I would say that's a generation, like a once in a generation type thing, right? So when stuff like that happens, the market's going to naturally try to correct itself. So the market blew up. The market crashed. Well, now since the market's starting to or has tried to recover over the last 7-8 years, of course market growth is a lot faster than normal, because if you look at where the market would have been, you know, or was prior to where that bubble started and where it is now, you can almost draw a straight line, and it's almost directly about like 4 to 5%, pretty healthy market growth. So I think we're at the top right now, honestly. My opinion, I could be wrong. I don't have a crystal ball, But that's kind of how I feel about it. I think we're at the top. I don't think we're going to see a big dip in prices or, in our market or anything like that. I kind of think we're kind of more like prices are going to shear off a little bit, maybe just maybe plateau out, kind of be stable for a while. So, which is a good thing. It's not bad.
Yeah.
And we still have low inventory. There's still not a lot of houses on the market compared to normal, which, is still driving prices up a little bit. But because prices are where they're at, the Federal Reserve is still keeping interest rates really, really low, like historically low. And it's been this way for a long time. No, well, not for a long time, maybe about a year-ish.
Yeah, about a year.
Yeah. Nobody knows how long it's going to last, but, here we are in the 3% range right now. Like, man, that's kind of crazy, So there's a little knowledge bomb for you, I guess. But
Boom, dropped it.
Anyway, so I don't care what anybody says about real estate. Oh, it's, if you got a buddy that is telling you, oh, I'm waiting for the next crash to happen before I buy a house. Well, dude's probably going to be waiting a while. So.
Yeah, and my clients, they've kind of brought that up in the past, and they'd be like, oh, I'm waiting for this big shift. And I'm like,
what shift?
There isn't going to be a big shift. And I go down that explanation basically that you just gave, Brian. It's, that what happened in the past, that was caused by bad practices. Within the lending community.
People doing bad stuff.
People doing bad stuff.
People screwing folks over.
And people also asking for things that they have no business asking for. They only make $100,000 a year, and they're asking for $5 million house.
Makes perfect sense.
Right.
So it's bad on both sides.
Right. But so with that said, I always preach without really going too deep into it. Like, look, you have to buy. If you're looking to buy within your means, and if it makes sense to you, and we'll go down a certain strategy to see if this makes sense, and we're gonna fight and see if fight to make it happen.
Yeah.
And if it's the right thing to do, it'll happen.
Okay. So when you say buy within your means, can you give an example of that? Let's say I make, $6,000 a month. What should I? What percentage of that should I say is for a house?
There's a lot
to that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different variables to that. I mean, it really depends. We brought up earlier if that person has a VA disability rating, if that's included.
Well, let's just say your net income is $6,000 a month.
Well, there's your debt to income ratio, which is huge, right? Because if you're making $6,000 a month, that's good and fine and all. But what if you're spending $5,500 a month on, on all of your debts that you have on your credit cards and your vehicle payments and this and that? Well, you're not. Doesn't matter how much you make. The fact is that you only have about $500 a month to play with. You're not going to be able to do much with that. So I think the best answer that we could give to a question like that would be talk to a loan officer. Because your loan officer is going to be able to help you determine that. That's the person that you want to talk to. They're going to look at your debt to income ratio. They're going to look at your past credit history. They're going to look at, what you have in savings and reserves. They're going to look at your, your income history, all kinds of different stuff. And a good lender, even if you don't have the ability to purchase a loan right now, a good lender will say, hey, if you pay this off and you get rid of that debt and then you call this creditor and get that off of your credit, we will be able to get you pre-approved to X amount of dollars.
And they'll help create that roadmap for that prospective buyer to figure out what they need to do and when they need to do it to get them on that path of buying a home. Also, kind of on that note too, it also depends on interest rates. They're at a really low point right now. Well, 6 months ago when it was up, half a point higher, that could be a big difference for some people.
That's another that's another thing where I'm like, man, when people say, yeah, I'm gonna wait until next year, like I don't want to come off and be like, hey dude, you should buy right now because interest rates are stupid low, because I'm not trying to push anybody into anything, but at the same time it's kind of like, if you don't buy something now and interest rates are 1.5% higher next year, your ability to buy something is going to
goes out the window.
Yeah,
you can't afford that $600,000 house. Now you're looking at $450 tops.
And I know you guys aren't lenders, but going on the credit subject and all this, if if a buyer or a potential buyer has a bankruptcy, how does that affect their ability to get into a home?
Well, that is a lending question, but what is it? They can't purchase till 7 years till that's cleared.
It depends on the type of bankruptcy too. There's
Okay.
a few different types of bankruptcy, so that really is going to be a big determining factor. I've a client that I'm working with right now that actually I think December 8th or 9th. Enough time has passed, so now he's like ready to buy a place. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And I think his was only 2 years. But like I said, it really just depends on the type of bankruptcy, how long it's going to be, and the big answer. And I hate to say it again, but talk to your lender. They're going to be the ones to tell you what to do. You know what I mean? Or what you can and can't do. So that's kind of.
And we've had clients in the past where they'd be speaking to somebody within the real estate realm and be like, why isn't there a straight answer? Because with most of this, there's so many variables and different things that could come into play that could slightly change the answer that's going to be given to that individual. It's real estate. It's a case by case basis, and we do our best to get our clients into a home that's going to fit their needs to the best of what they're looking for.
But it's never cookie cutter.
Right. It's never. It's not simple. There's a lot to it.
Yeah, no two deals are the same ever.
Yep.
Wow. That's kind of nice, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's fun. It's why I'm here.
Could you imagine if every one of them was the same? How boring that would be. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's nice, having that stability, having things, but you can also get bored with that.
Yeah, I like the idea of thriving in chaos a little bit. It's just me speaking for myself, but no, it's no matter what. I mean, at the end of the day, the coolest thing in the world to me with being in the real estate world is helping somebody achieve that dream, handing that keys off at the end of, like, especially for a hard fought escrow, and closing and handing the keys to your clients of their new house or whatever to them, and doing that whole, you guys are homeowners now, and how happy and excited they are. And I'd love that, man. That's like the best thing ever.
That's awesome.
That's victory cigar territory right there.
There you go.
It's funny you mentioned thriving in chaos. It reminds me, and we're talking about PTSD and all this stuff. I have a belief that a lot of times it's not PTSD. And I didn't coin this term, but I really, really, really like it. It's I think a lot of times for us, it's lack of traumatic stress. It's not post-traumatic stress. It's, as soldiers and Marines and the other forces,
the other branches.
There,
I got you.
We go through it.
We got our FMF corpsmen.
Yeah, there you go.
We go through it, and through training, we're getting yelled at, we're getting shot at, we're getting bombed and mortared, and then we go to that becomes our reality, because we have to. When we go to war, you have to be used to that.
Yep.
And you're used to that yelling and screaming, getting shot at and bombed and all that. And then when you get back to reality,
it's freaking boring.
Yeah, it's boring.
Yeah.
Right. There's nothing going on.
Yeah, it's not, because we're fine. We've thrived in that environment, and then we come back and it's nothing's going on. We're waiting for it to happen.
We're going to read this title report today. that's my excitement for today. I'm going to read a prelim. Cool.
So I know, like, Brian and myself, and you've ridden motorcycles in the past, right?
Yeah, I had 2 of them. Yeah.
So I mean,
going way too fast.
That's one of the reasons that I have a motorcycle. I knew, I'm like, hey, I need to get some adrenaline in my life.
Yeah.
Same, yeah.
I've jumped out of planes for that reason.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need that rush.
The crazy shit that we do, right?
Yeah.
I love it though, man. I'll tell you what, riding has been a really good outlet for me. I bought a used Kawasaki dirt bike, KX450, no big deal. That thing is way faster than I need.
450 for a dirt bike is huge.
It's dumb, dude. I don't need a bike that big, but whatever. It's super fun. But going out and riding with my buddies in the mountains and in the desert and stuff like that, like, you come back absolutely broke off, exhausted, having like almost died several freaking times. Don't tell my wife. But like or can what you feel, that whole closeness to death kind of thing, you get that rush, you get that push, you know, and it's great. We're gonna have to start a motorcycle gang.
Let's do it.
Tip of the spear.
Tip of the spear, MC.
Tip of the spear real estate riders.
That's a positive note, but we probably got to wrap it up.
Sure.
So,
wrap it up on a positive
any
note?
last comments, Nichols, whatever you want to call them?
Last comment is get out there, get in the ocean, you know, get involved with a sport or riding a bike. You should get out there and challenge yourself.
Yep.
When you challenge yourself, you know, you find that peace.
And get out there and figure out how to buy a house, right?
Yeah.
Buy a home.
Exactly.
You know?
Talk to your buds.
Yep.
You know, when we were in the military with self-aid, buddy aid, corpsman aid, well, if you're losing the self-aid fight, hey, next is go talk to one of your buddies, you know?
Yep.
I don't know how many times I've had conversations with the guys I served with or other vets in our community that, you know, we're just having a rough go at it one day, or even me, just having a tough time one day, and, you know, you have a conversation with somebody that's been through similar shit. Hey, man, that will help you out more than, you know, sitting in self-loathing in a bottle of something. You know what I mean?
Yep. We're here for each other.
That's right.
All right. Well, on behalf of Nate Landshark Shermer,
I'm Brian Britton, sports.
And Jake Smoke.
All right,
Weather?
this is Tip of the Spear Real Estate Team
Smoke
Podcast.
Bye.
Bye.
See you.